So you see, I was very clear.
First of all, he says you should prove to him where the IMF said.
I was very clear at the outset that this is not a pleasant announcement.
Yeah.
And that even government itself is not too enthused about it. And let's remind ourselves that this comes from PURC, of course a state agency, but it is an independent institution that will take all the factors into account, including the exchange rate, to be able to arrive at such issues. And I've told you that it was part of the IMF arrangement between Ghana and IMF under a $3 billion dollars bailout over a period of 36 months. You are asking me to...
He said he's not convinced.
A period of 6 months.
He says he's not convinced.
36 months. The IMF bailout
is for 3 years.
It's for 3 years.
Yes, so we point to where the agreement said, because
don't worry.
People who are in charge of it,
I may not be able to provide with that one instantly we're on set, but we'll get back to it. We are talking about e-levy. This was a campaign pledge that we made.
Yeah.
This was a tax that we imposed on Ghanaians that increased cost of production and that affected homes. In fact, on the birthday of the then majority leader, Honorable Osechi Mensah, we even presented him with an e-levy cake. This is how insensitive. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who was the chairman of your economic management team, was at that birthday party. And you presented him with an e-levy birthday cake. This tells you how insensitive you guys were when you were in government. Emission tax is gone. Betting tax is gone. Cut in expenditure in government. Ghanaians are seeing what they haven't seen for decades. Look, tomorrow, just one day, just go and stop around chain homes, and you see President Mahama going home, and you'll be surprised. He has 3 vehicles, 3 saloon cars. He's demonstrating that, look, we all need to tighten our belts. And so, look, today, under the Ministry of Education, a budget, about 300 million Ghana cedis is being provided to provide sanitary pads to young girls. These are all interventions that will bring relief to the Ghanaian. Unless, of course, you think that those things don't matter. Okay? Now, VAT, we're about restructuring the VAT. That will bring it to somewhere around 17%, because the current rate of the VAT with the structure that we have today is almost about 22%. If we are able to restructure VAT as we promised to do and we are doing, VAT would eventually plus GET Fund and NHIL would come to around 17%. We are about also repealing the COVID levy. I'm sure by next year we're engaging with the stakeholders. And so there are a lot of plans ahead to be able to bring more relief to the Ghanaian people. But you see, when I hear my colleagues from the NPP talk about relief and the economy and how we are not fulfilling our promises, you had a list of group of people to talk about the economy. Under the watch of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, dollar moved from 4 cedis to about 16 Ghana cedis. You thought that brought relief to the Ghanaian people? That when dollar rose from...
this is the birthday party you're talking
exactly.
about.
When the dollar moved from 4 cedis to 16 cedis, that was relief to Ghanaians. When you moved a liter of petrol from 3.6 Ghana cedis to about 25 Ghana cedis in 2022, that was relief. You have forgotten where you are coming from. When indeed, in 2022 alone, about 850,000 Ghanaians were pushed into extreme poverty by your policies. Was that relief? You move our debt stock from 120 billion Ghana cedis to about 800 billion Ghana cedis. Was that a relief? And so if we want to talk about how insensitive and how government brought hardships to the Ghanaian people, you are the least group of people to be talking about it, because your record is far, far worse than you are complaining about. But like I said, we are not too pleased about it. It's too early in the day. I don't know what a government may want to do about it. Government may want to step in. I'm not too sure yet. I can't speak to that. But it's not a pleasant announcement. And I'm saying that it would affect disposable incomes of homes. Businesses would be affected. it has some inflationary pressures that we appreciate. But PURC is an independent state agency, and so we'll see what happens in the next few days. It's too early in the day to tell whether government will make some intervention in that direction or not.
Okay. I'm finding out something quite interesting about the tariff increments and how that is tied to the IMF conditionality.
You can see, in the attempt to justify it, this is a party that has campaigned on recent.
Okay.
But they kept making reference to the previous administration and how difficult it was. No one doubted that it was difficult. It wasn't just Ghana. The world was in a difficult place. He made reference to 2002. But he has forgotten that from 2020 to 2022, 2023, it wasn't the cost of living crisis wasn't just Ghana. So we're in a difficult period. Everywhere in the world, things are getting better. So I don't know. It's difficult for people to really forget the period that we were in. You have to remember that these problems, we anticipated them that 2023, 2022, it wasn't going to be easy. You remember the president issued a statement where he said that we know how to bring economies back to life, but we do not know how to bring people back to life. And that he was going to prioritize people. This was a statement from a statesman that was celebrated worldwide. So we anticipated some of those problems. But this is a party that has campaigned on what? Reset. But they are still on the campaign mood. You said that you could make things better. And that was why Ghanaians agreed to give you the power. But look at the 14% increment you are bringing. We don't have similar emergencies and exigencies that we have in 2020, 2021. So just accept and explain to the people the situation we are in. We members of opposition can only see the insensitivity on your part that says that you are giving people 1% elsewhere in e-levy and then bringing a whopping 14%. And you try to look at some of the sources. We want you to publish the source that you said the IMF requires you to do that. And maybe you can help make your case to Ghanaians. We believe that the agreement do not contain such information, but you said the agreement does. So publish that agreement for Ghanaians to see. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay. Honorable.
Well, I don't want us to belabor this point. And like I said earlier, I will not be able to provide you with the IMF document just right here. But there's a story somewhere in 2023, April 14th, my Joy Online.
Okay.
IMF deal, electricity tariffs hikes, tax reforms, key conditions in securing program with IMF, Ken Ofori-Atta. This was the Minister for Finance who signed us onto the IMF deal. And this was this same man saying that tariff hikes and reforms in our tax regime and three other reforms were necessary for us to sign onto the IMF deal. In fact, there were conditions. He said it. Go to my Joy Online. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has outlined 5 key measures necessary for government to pursue in order to secure, the emphasis being in order for government to secure an International Monetary Fund support program. They are: 1, electricity tariffs, which have brought the cumulative increase to 60% since August 2022. So from August 2022 to April, electricity tariffs had gone up by 60%. And Ken Ofori-Atta, who was the finance minister at that time, said and signed, in fact, he signed Ghana onto the IMF deal, says that it was a condition for us to have a deal with the IMF. And so if you don't want us to believe the person who led us to IMF, I don't know who would believe again in this matter.
Okay.
But I still insist that it is a very unpleasant thing for government to do, for PURC to do, to understand we are in government, we are affected by actions and inactions of PURC,
right,
even though it is an independent institution. It's not a pleasant announcement. Like I said, I don't know if government has some immediate plans to be able to deal with it and how businesses can be cushioned. I don't know yet, but for you to deny that the tariff that we are saying has nothing to do with the IMF deal, it's not true, unless you want to further discredit Ken Ofori-Atta. But if that's not the case, it's very clear that the man who led us to IMF says that. And then stop this COVID thing. This is the very argument that landed you with the 38%. You made those arguments right from 2020 up to 2024, and Ghanaians just didn't buy into it. You must be learning, you must be working out of it. You see, the economy was much better up to 2019 because you were running under an IMF deal. When the IMF deal came to an end in 2019, then you had the COVID funds. A lot of funds that you got from the World Bank, IMF, about 3 billion Ghana cedis, and so you had a lot of resources that was able to hold the economy for the year 2020. But as soon as you were out of IMF and you could not even access those funds again, then you were exposed for who you were. And so stop making excuses out of COVID. Those arguments you have made, and Ghanaians rejected it. In fact, you blame almost everything. You blame teachers. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was now blaming principalities and demons, being behind the economic mess that he landed us in. And so you blame almost everything, including the death of the Queen in England. And Ghanaians rejected that. So if I were you, don't let us go back there. Tomorrow, in 2024, we are told that about 8.4 Ghanaians went to bed without a meal, empty stomach, 24 hours. That's what the report says, under your watch. And so you guys have no moral duty, moral right. You don't have that right to come here and begin to pontificate on the national economy.
Okay.
Ghanaians, 8.4 million Ghanaians went to bed without a meal. You push 850,000 Ghanaians into extreme poverty. And so, lawyer, I mean, when it comes to, yes, we understand the burden that the 14% hike in electricity tariffs will bring to the Ghanaian people.
Okay.
We do appreciate that, but like I said, it's too early in the day for us to make very conclusive statements.
Okay.
But you are the last to talk about the economy and how Ghanaians are suffering.
Okay.
Ghanaians went through worse conditions under your tenure, and you justified it, and you celebrated it, and you refer to President Akufo-Addo as a celebrated person worldwide. I'm not sure even in Chebi.
Statement.
Okay.
Well, that statement when he said we could only bring back the economy and not lives. I don't know what he meant by that. The economy was collapsed. He was not able to bring it back. Before he exited, he said the next leader was going to take us out of the economic woes.
Okay.
He said it. So he never brought the economy back.
Okay.